Hello everyone and welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. 'Tis I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, the illustrious DJ Martinez. Good evening, DJ.
Thank you. Thank you for the lovely introduction and the dramatic pause.
Of course, man. I'm just trying to keep it interesting and light and fun based on tonight's lead-in topic.
Oh, man. Well, before we get into that, to keep it light and fun, I can do a little continuity. Remember the other night when we were talking about buying movies, and I bought one actually during the show? It just arrived today.
Oh, wow. Cool.
While we were streaming.
Wow, that's really pretty.
Cool. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's the Arrow special edition limited release of Crimson Peak.
So what is that movie for folks that don't know?
This is a Guillermo del Toro movie. This is the one he made right in between Pacific Rim and Shape of Water, I believe. But it's like a haunted house movie. It's got Loki in it. Tom Hiddleston. So if you'd like to see some movies with him, I actually enjoyed it. I watched it for the first time this year in my Spooktober lineup, and it's pretty good. It's not as bad as people say. It's not his best film, obviously. It's not Shape of Water or Pan's Labyrinth, but it's pretty good.
You'd expect a 9 masterpiece though for that level of release.
Yeah, Arrow just does these awesome stuff. I mean, they did one of these for Waterworld, for Legend. Like, they do more of the
everything's an event.
B-movie kind of lesser known, partially horror titles. They do a lot of horror stuff, but
or I guess just bad things that we spent too much money on and then nobody went and saw it because Waterworld, not obscure, the most expensive movie ever made at that point.
Yeah, cult classics is what we.
And not as bad as you might expect, but certainly not worthy of what was spent on it or that merchandising campaign or.
Yeah, it was just an over budget. I think it would have done fine if it. I've seen that too, and I enjoyed it well enough. It wasn't like amazing, but it's pretty good too.
Yeah, that's the thing everybody forgets about with that movie. Sorry, we're going off on a tangent already. But the thing everybody forgets about with Waterworld, I said nobody went to see it. Compared to its budget, right? Do you realize that was the 9th highest grossing movie of that year?
Yeah, that was the problem. It was all the budget was the problem. But they had to redo the whole set because the whole set got trashed at one point or something, and they had a lot of issues.
I didn't know about
movie.
that. I just knew they spent too much money on it.
Yeah, I think like their whole water, like, because there's some crazy sets in that movie. Like it's like literally a giant city raft in water. And
yeah, it's impressive. It's insanely ambitious. It's also really boring. And the lead was just miscast. But anyway, welcome, folks. Thanks a lot for joining us on tonight's edition of the Captain Logan Show. This is our only Captain Logan Show for this week, so it feels like an eternity to me since the last time we did one of these.
That's right.
The show used to be weekly. Now that we skipped a day and we did a commentary on Tuesday, which was a lot of fun, by the way, and that's what DJ was alluding to earlier. I want to say you brought that movie up on the Zodiac commentary.
I actually.
Or was that a different video?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember when you talked about that. We do so many shows.
Oh my gosh, they all run together.
Exactly. But anyway, so finally, I say finally, we used to only do the show on Thursdays. It feels like finally we're back. And tonight we're going to do a lead-in topic, continuing, what is this, part 7 or 8 now of the Zaslov Wave, talking about more major cuts and layoffs that Warner's Discovery is making, the big shakeup going on there, this time with animation, which I feel like I kind of partially called when all this mess began and was hoping I was wrong, and I wasn't. This is not the kind of thing I want to be correct about in my guesses, DJ.
Oh yeah, if you
in my predictions
spoke this into the universe in any way, shame on you, sir.
Yeah, no, I suck. I should stop. I should stop streaming. That's it. No more Captain Logan shows for you. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about the merger of a merger within a merger of the animation houses at Warner Brothers. What that means for Cartoon Network moving forward, and after that, and I don't want to dwell on that for too long if we can help it, because that's going to be very depressing. But of course, if people want to keep talking about it and want to make us perpetually feel like slitting our wrists throughout the show, feel free to do that. It's up to you. You can leave us a super chat in any dollar amount during the show, which guarantees that your question or topic, comment, gets discussed on air. You can also leave a regular comment as well, and make sure to tag DJ because he'll be reading the comments throughout the show. He's the official moderator, and he does that so that I don't have to. Make sure to tag him at DJ Martinez, at The Welder, at Frowny Face. He'll respond to any of those things and more, and we'll make this, of course, as always, an Ask Me Anything show right after the lead-in topic. Real quick, we'll do some channel announcements. DJ, as you know, I'm going to be like bad exposition writing guy. As you know, next weekend is the 24-hour stream. It's already almost upon us. I'm going to not sleep for a day in order to watch tons and tons of episodes from the DCAU, from the Timverse, the Dini-verse, however you like it. We're going to watch at least 50 episodes, but probably even more than that. If we did just 2 an hour, we'd be able to watch about 50, but I'm sure we'll get even more than that in through part of it. Obviously, I'm going to take breaks here and there. It'll take me time to switch discs out and things, because I'm going to primarily, I think, watch those episodes on disc instead of streaming, just so that we have a smoother stream. So I can guarantee we have a smoother stream. Not totally sure how I'm going to handle Static Shock yet. People have been asking me about that. That is currently streaming on HBO Max. You can't guarantee that anything today on Max will be there tomorrow, given the aforementioned Zaslov Wave, but I'm going to try to do some of that as well. I think one of our super chat winners has already requested an episode from that show, so I'm going to try to do at least 2 or 3 of those, but for the most part, it's going to be Batman, Superman, the Justice League shows, and Batman Beyond. And tonight's top super chatter will also, just like over the last couple weeks, get to pick 3 episodes, so an entire hour's worth of content for the 24-hour stream from any of those shows from the DCAU. So if you are so inclined, leave some super chats tonight. That really helps move the train along here on the channel and lets me do this basically full time, and thanks to everybody who has done or ever will do that. We really, really appreciate you. So I like to do these kind of super chat award things every now and again to say thanks for that, and lately we've been doing those weekly on Thursdays so that you guys can help us pick some things for the 24-hour stream. But anybody that throws in a suggestion on the community tab, scroll down a little bit there, and maybe I'll even make another post, but there's a post about the 24-hour stream, and if you don't see an episode that you'd like already in the comments there, put that there, and it will likely go on the wheel. Throughout the day, we're not going to do this in any kind of order, by the way. I'm going to be randomly choosing episodes. We're going to jump all over the place, and everybody's suggestions, including stuff that I want, will go on the wheel, and we'll spin it, and we'll see what comes up. But the only guaranteed ones will be folks that win the top super chatter for the evening on Thursdays. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to tonight's very unfortunate news, but like I said, I kind of saw this coming, especially after all of the recent Cartoon Network projects that were axed, and the fact that Cape Crusaders, or Cape Crusader, I guess, the new animated Batman show, was suddenly not going to HBO Max or Cartoon Network, even though originally it was also supposed to be a Cartoon Network show, and it was being shopped around to other streaming services, which still blows my mind, DJ. The idea that you would have to shop around an animated Batman show, especially show run by Bruce Timm of all people.
It's a sad time we're living in. When was the last Batman? I mean, the last Batman show was a long time ago, I guess. So I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I've been saying this for a long time. It's really strange. Both that we haven't had a standalone animated Batman thing. You know, you've had like the Harley Quinn show for adults, and you know, a couple things like that. But we've not had a straight up just Batman show since Beware the Batman, and that was circa 2014, 2015. So I mean, like, we're pushing a decade since that started too, and that got canceled. That was only on for 2 seasons.
Yeah, man.
But anyway,
you got a good Batman movie series, so
yeah, so
doing fine.
Obviously, that's exciting. Like, we finally have for extra media, well, and I say that there's also been some really crappy comics in the last several years as well, and some good stuff too. But we finally have some good extra media like stuff actually about Bruce Wayne himself again. Thank goodness. But anyway, so here comes an article from CartoonBrew.com. Cartoon Network, as you know it, is gone thanks to, you guessed it, David Zaslov. Warner Brothers Television Group laid off 82 scripted, unscripted, and animation employees on Tuesday and will not fill 43 more vacant positions. The 125 positions represented 26% of the company's workforce across those units. And I'll just read a little bit and then we'll discuss. However, the layoffs, which were generally expected, don't tell the whole story of what's going on at Warner Brothers Discovery's animation units. In fact, there was an even more consequential announcement yesterday that fundamentally alters the structure of Cartoon Network Studios going forward and will have a far-reaching impact on the projects that it produces. The company calls it part of its strategic realignment. In a company-wide memo, Chairman Channing Dungey told staff that the company plans to fully consolidate its animation division, merging Warner Brothers Animation and Cartoon Network Studios. Going forward, Sam Register will continue as head of WBA and CNS. Sam Register's name is on every single animated Batman thing that has been made in my lifetime. You'll see his name on everything.
Wow.
As well as Hanna-Barbera Studios Europe, which will continue to operate independently from the other two. So, this is really unfortunate news. I do have to say, though, that of course, a lot of outlets and just, independent reporters and people on Twitter and Facebook and stuff do tend to jump the gun with things like this. So as soon as this news dropped, everybody went to town and started maligning Zaslov for shutting down Cartoon Network. And that's not technically what is going on, but if it feels that way to you, that's also fair, because that might sort of effectively be what's going on. The big worry is, and obviously, all the layoffs are unfortunate. All the stuff that they've been scrapping, some things that sounded really cool, and that there were Scooby-Doo projects. There were various other, especially Hanna-Barbera things. There were, I think, there's even original series that were on Cartoon Network that maybe have already been canceled. I'm not sure. HBO Max has already started gutting some things here and there, just off the service. Also, in the animation and just kids department, they've started like quietly getting rid of random episodes of Sesame Street. Like, HBO Max is not gonna be here pretty soon anything like what at least I have loved about it, and we know that that's merging with Discovery next year, but it's already starting to kind of fall apart on us, which sucks. But anyway, I digress. With the animation side of it, the worry right now, DJ, is we're in trying to cut costs and get to a more manageable place, because in all fairness, Warner Brothers was like, the strategy has been with Disney and a lot of these other studios lately to really oversaturate and throw money at the wall and see what sticks, and probably way overspend. The worry right now is they're not going to be greenlighting really any cool original projects that are taking risks and trying things, and that all we're really going to be left with is stuff based on proven IPs, which is really unfortunate.
So some of the chat is giving us some good questions about this. Blue Dragon 5 Cap, considering Hanna-Barbera was folded into Cartoon Network, do you think Cartoon Network being folded into Warner's animation will have a similar effect and revitalize the brand, or kill it?
I tend to agree with the analysts that are saying that, at least for the foreseeable future, you're likely to only see like stuff you recognize and stuff that's been like more popular lately. I don't see this really revitalizing big Cartoon Network brands. that's an interesting take, and that would be the positive way to look at it. Like maybe there's a chance at that, because you're right, that did happen when Hanna-Barbera got folded in, and Cartoon Network was, of course, in the 90s pretty massively responsible for that. They kind of got Hanna-Barbera back out there and got people interested in a lot of its properties again, partly by making fun of a lot of them, which was fun, and it was certainly like maligning in good taste, because during the day they would show a lot of those cartoons, and then they would make new material like Space Ghost Coast to Coast and things like that were also kind of making fun of some of that material also. So you're right, that certainly did happen, but I think you're gonna see just a lot of like DC stuff, and maybe more Scooby-Doo things and things like that. But it's kind of weird that they've already scrapped like Warner's classic Warner cartoon stuff, Looney Tunes stuff, and they're also consolidating. So like they're already getting rid of stuff you've heard of, or getting rid of stuff based on what you've heard of. Like, what's going to be left? What are they going to be greenlighting? And what does this look like now as a network when they're getting rid of so much stuff and they're getting rid of so many animators? Like, is Cartoon Network going to go back to more like just reruns? Is it basically going to be like Boomerang with a couple of new shows? Is it going to be like Teen Titans Go and reruns, and that's all you get? Like, what exactly is it going to look like? And then a lot of people have this worry that this isn't just about cost cutting, but it's also just Zaslov coming in, and I can't remember the name of this character, DJ, but I had this thought right before we started broadcasting. It's feeling a little bit like the woman in the 5th Harry Potter book that comes in and takes over the dark arts. And
the reason I can't watch that movie, it's the worst.
It kind of feels like that, where it's like at first it seems like maybe her heart's in the right place, and then you realize that she's on this crazy power trip, and she's really ultra conservative, and doesn't want anything fun anymore, and wants to kind of control everybody's minds. I'm not saying that Zaslov is trying to control everybody's minds necessarily, and I don't know what his politics are. So I don't mean that, but I'm just saying that it does feel a little bit like he doesn't maybe appreciate Warner's history and legacy and what they've been all about. And animation is, of course, a huge tradition for Warner Brothers, and I'm not sure that he's got a lot of respect for that, just based on some of the decisions he's making, and based on, we've talked about this before, complaints that we've been hearing on the inside from a lot of creators saying, get out while you still can. It's no fun to work here anymore. And and don't come put in your resume.
It's turned into a Scooby-Doo episode.
If you're
Beware!
Not
Save yourselves.
And then at the end, you take off the Zaslov mask and it's somebody else. It's like, oh, it was Darkseid all along.
No, it was Zack Snyder getting revenge.
To some degree, because obviously I'm not in the know. I'm not there at Warner Brothers. I'm kind of treading as lightly as I can on this, and not trying to make a lot of assumptions and a lot of judgment calls. I don't pretend to know a lot about the business side and a lot about the inner workings of Warner Brothers, of course. So all I know is what people are saying, and what, like, that work there, and what we know, for sure. And so there's two sides of every story, of course. I understand the cost-cutting thing, and that there's difficult choices that have to be made, but Zaslov does not seem to, in his inner circle, like, they don't seem to care, like, who they're pissing off over there. And it's really just this really cold cleaning house thing, and I wish it seemed like they had more respect for the people that were there before they got there, and for the legacy of that company. So I'm just calling it like I'm seeing it with that. But anyway, when people say, effectively this seems like closing down Cartoon Network, it does feel that way, and we'll see what it ends up looking like as time moves forward. Is the Powerpuff Girls, Craig McCracken relaunch still going to happen, or is he going to have to shop that around? I wonder, or is that going to be kind of roped into, well, stuff you've heard of, and so maybe there's a chance that still gets made. But like, what about properties like Steven Universe and things like that are like newer in the last decade or so that were created for that company, for that network, but weren't, big IPs before that. And then how long will it be before they actually, have fresh new animated IPs? Is it possible that they even start going back to some of the silly live action programming they were doing in the mid 2000s when Cartoon Network had reality shows and things like that? Like, what's it going to look like? What does a Discovery-led Warner Brothers look like 3 or 4 years from now? It can't be any worse than a Discovery-led Star Trek. I'm just going to put that out there.
Is that a pun?
I don't know if that counts as a pun. I mean, there are two different things that are named Discovery that are effectively both gutting and ruining things I like.
Just wordplay, at least.
Potentially.
Yeah, I am... it's very interesting. It's been a roller coaster for me this week because I was ready, just like everybody else, to absolutely despise this new Scooby-Doo show. I don't like Mindy Kaling. I didn't like that it was being compared to like a Harley Quinn for Scooby-Doo. It was just about Velma. Like, I was ready to grab my pitchfork and attack this show, but the trailer actually won me over. The trailer is pretty clever and funny and poking fun at exactly what we're all doing. I don't know. The trailer actually won me over, and now I probably won't even get more than a season. So, I don't know.
Or will you? It's just hard to say what all that's going to look like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very weird timing for them just about to launch a Scooby-Doo show, and then all this consolidation is happening. So, who knows?
You'd think that if you're going to keep a cable network, you would need programming for it.
He doesn't need programming. He's Zaslov.
And then I'm curious to know, and by the way, full disclosure, because I also don't want to sound more depressed about this than I ought to. I haven't been keeping up with Cartoon Network in a long time. They don't make a lot of things these days that feel like they're for me. So this is sad for me in more of like a nostalgic way, and just a I don't like when things are different, you know what I mean, kind of way. And also just I want to see animation thriving, and I want to see original animation thriving, even if I'm not looking at it. So I feel like it's still fair for me to have an opinion about it, even if I'm not watching it. But I also don't want to go, real far and be like, oh no, like they've ruined Cartoon Network. Well, like Cartoon Network hasn't been my Cartoon Network since the early 2000s. So, I don't want to. I don't want to pretend like this is a bigger deal for me than it is, and suddenly, I'm not going to suddenly go in and start watching all the stuff I never bothered with that's real recent and be like, these things are great. Like I don't know a lot of those shows now, but it sucks for people that have been watching them, and it makes me wonder just what you put on that network.
Mm-hmm.
AMC Comics says, yeah, there's no way that Velma show would air on Cartoon Network. But that's a good point if it's being compared to the Harley Quinn show, because that's a real hard R adult kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that is just people freaking out or if that's actually an accurate description. Yeah, Nicholas Walker says, I'm curious why you hate Mindy Kaling. I don't hate Mindy Kaling. Her comedy is not usually my thing.
Yeah, but the nice thing is, sometimes you'll get actors in things, especially for voiceover, that you don't care for the actor, but like they're right for the role, and after all, they're not writing the thing.
I think she is writing the thing.
Oh, okay. Well, then
she's a comedy writer. She's been a comedy writer for forever, ever since Office started.
Oh, okay.
She wrote on
then that's a horse of a different color. It's just we talked about this a couple weeks ago. That new Muppet show that's going to start next year about the the Electric Mayhem, which I'm really excited about. Some folks messaged me after that and were like, "Oh, but Cap, there's this actress that's like the lead human actress in that like people really dislike." And I don't have a dog in that because I don't know who that is. Even right now, I couldn't tell you who that is. But like, I'm not concerned about it till I watch it because A, I don't have any preconceptions, but B, she's not writing the show.
Yeah.
But it sounds like what you're talking about is a different situation. You have more of a reason to be concerned.
But yeah, like I said, I was more surprised than anyone, but she won me over with that little teaser that they released.
Senior Nerd says currently Cartoon Network is just Teen Titans Go, Gumball, and Craig and the Creek, and of course Adult Swim. Is that right? And then is it just a bunch
Craig and the Creek?
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. Is it just a bunch of reruns besides that? Like, they used to have to, have programming because they're a network. Anyway, I just wanted to kind of report on that if you hadn't heard about it and give you my real quick 2 cents. And like I said, I got real nervous when all those animated movies were in, and I can't remember if there were any shows listed also, but I guess and Batman were slated for cancellation before they even come out, and I was like, oh no, what does this mean for Cartoon Network? And when I glanced at a headline, the first thing I thought was, yep, I was right, they're axing Cartoon Network. And no, not exactly, but I was going to say this earlier too, I would be interested to know what animators from each side are not getting the boot and are sticking around, because that would tell you, more of what the tone of things will be like moving forward for them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have people in both camps, like, Warner Brothers Animation was making, of course, different kinds of things than Cartoon Network was. So what's that going to look like?
I don't know. Oh, we got some about the topic, though.
No Senior Nerd is not Brie Larson, although that's way too big of a name to be the main human character in the Electric Mayhem show, if that's what we're talking about still.
Yeah, so we have a couple super chats. I'm going to go to the ones that are about the topic first, so don't worry, Tom, I'm not skipping yours. I'll come back. Jar Jar Ed, $5. Yeah. Zaslov has been a reality television executive. He does not know anything about managing a Hollywood studio.
Yeah. That's the worry. And this happens all the time with various kinds of companies, where you'll get, like, for instance, if memory serves, years ago, and like this has changed heads a million times since then, but I want to say at one point the executive for GameStop was the last thing he had done was like Pizza Hut or one of the pizza companies. Like, he didn't know anything about games. He didn't know anything about retail. It wasn't anything like a lateral move. Yeah, this happens all the time. And it's hard not to just assume, not to be really cynical about it. And like, a lot of people make this assumption, and I think they're probably right for it much of the time, that it's so much just about execs and shareholders being in a company long enough to build up a lot of capital and then leave and go do something else, where they don't really care about where they are and what they're doing. And this thing with Zaslov really kind of smells that way to a lot of people. Somebody earlier said, well, I can't remember if it was AMC or who it was, but somebody said, well, why would he want to come in and take a company like this if he's just going to axe a bunch of stuff? Did you see what they're paying him? Like, that's the thing, is if they're in this is what I never understand. And again, if anybody comes in and leaves a comment and says, hey Cap, you don't know anything about business, stop talking about this, you're right. Or at least I don't know a lot, and about particularly Hollywood business. But so all I can do is go on what little I do know and ask questions. So this is not me being arrogant and pretending like I know more than I do. I don't. I'm asking questions. And one of those questions would be, why do big companies like this, when they're really hurting for money, and you have to expect that a lot of this is because of of how much money was lost during COVID. When you're in those kinds of dire straits and trying to get back on your feet, and you certainly have to make some difficult choices, why on earth are you paying your CEO so much money? Is it that you just wouldn't be able to get a leader at all unless it was at, X kind of threshold? Why do they make so much when there's not enough money to even get more than 2 big movies out for the rest of the year? It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you're a CEO of Geekvolution Industries. Let us know. How much... How much you pulling down?
We don't have a board. That's not how it works.
The board of Geekvolution.
Hey, I get whatever's left over after I pay you, DJ. That's it. That's how the business works.
Yeah, our business is a little bit different than Warner.
No, it's very different. It's barely a business.
Hey, you gave a good story down at the courthouse during jury duty about your business. Don't undersell it.
I'm essentially sitting on the corner playing ukulele with a box that says tips. I mean, that's essentially what I do. And then I'm for some reason also able to get ad revenue. I guess there's also I don't know, a sign for pizza right next to me or something. And they pay me to play ukulele on the sidewalk.
Yeah, buy me a coffee or something.
Right, exactly.
Well, we got another one from Jar Jar Ed, $5. I would not be surprised if Warner Brothers evaporates due to how many bridges Zaslov burned. NBC Universal is already talking about buying this fire.
Yeah. And that's looking more and more like it might happen, which, at least for those of us that care about a lot of properties under Warner's, and again, I don't mean to be too sentimental about a giant corporation, but Warner Brothers has made some of the greatest movies of all time, of course, and they've got DC, and they have a lot of things that I love, and you hate to see them, completely fall apart. So I feel like the best scenario at this point for just those of us sitting in our armchairs hoping to consume good material from them is probably the Universal buyout. And then things just, DJ, get more and more consolidated all the time. We talked about this before, but there was that rumor a few years ago that Disney was looking to buy Warner's, and then Disney bought Fox, and that wasn't even on the radar when people were talking about them maybe buying Warner's. And more, it just feels like this game of Risk that we're 75% through. You know what I mean? I feel like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. That makes it sound positive. But it feels like
not if the tunnel's coming out at a waterfall.
It feels like we're seeing, we're seeing the end game, or a trash compactor. It feels like we're seeing the end game of this big game of Risk, and I have a hard time because I've said this before, and I had people counter with, Cap, because of anti-monopoly laws and antitrust and stuff, there's no way Disney could ever get as much of the pie as you're saying, but I don't trust it, and I don't think I'm ever going to trust it. That you might not see the day where Disney owns Fox and Warner's and Universal and MGM.
Well, they have to, because, once Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson punches Superman in the face, he has to punch Thanos in the face.
And it will happen, and he can guarantee you that it will.
Because he's been reading Black Adam comics since before there were more than 3 of them. Connor's brother actually did research to the timeline, and there was only 3 very hard to find comics that there's no way he read. It was really funny.
I'm not convinced he even knows that Black Adam is a villain, and whose villain he is, despite the fact that he has to say Shazam to get his costume and his powers. I wonder if on set he's like, why am I saying the Shazam thing? I don't even understand that.
I'm not Shazam. That's the other guy. And he also
that I have no intention of ever being in it. We're getting off topic again. But that I have no intention of ever even being in a movie in, because what the people really want is Black Adam versus Superman, which is just code for what people really want is The Rock versus most popular character ever. So now he's Avi Arad wearing an Black Adam suit. That's what he is.
Oh my gosh. There's nothing more frightening than that. A big giant 6'4", 300-pound Avia rod.
I haven't done so. Getting back to the topic at hand, I haven't looked enough into the proposed Universal buyout. But how does that work? I wonder, and maybe somebody can tell us. Watching right now, post something in the comments for us. How does that work with what's happened with Discovery? Like, would Universal come in and buy out that whole package, or just the Warner's part of it? I would assume all of it. So, like, Warner's and Discovery are now merged. And it's just weird because it seems like that was supposed to somehow save them, and it seems much, much worse now. But also, they weren't really, like, publicizing or telegraphing just how bad their money woes were until Zaslov decided to stamp out everything he could stamp out and get rid of movies people want to watch. And
Yeah. We got a third super chat from Jar Jar Ed. Thank you so much, Ed.
thanks so much.
Another $5. You can track the Warner Brothers apocalypse starting as early as Batman v Superman. Did Snyder make a movie so bad it started the death of a studio?
I've had that thought too.
What a cool documentary that would be.
Yeah.
Go all the way
like
from
20 years
that
from
to-
now, I don't want to watch it right now. It's too depressing.
No, you don't make a documentary about the war you're currently in.
See, you say that, but there's apparently some kind of allegedly tell-all or very close to tell-all book coming out about maybe it's already released, I'm not sure, I need to look into this, about the history of the MCU up to now, and there's apparently juicy stuff in that, and that surprises me. It's like, it's still happening. Like, why would Disney even allow that?
I don't know. Is
They
it
do
happening?
seem to have the attitude, though, that no publicity is bad publicity.
That is very true. I watched the first episode. I finally watched the first episode of She-Hulk today. Oh boy,
I haven't done it yet.
that was a doozy.
But that has been a lot. That has been the review of a lot of people that I've
Mark
talked to.
Mark Ruffalo. Not only is he just awful, he doesn't even know how to deliver lines anymore. It's like he's reading his lines just phonetically in a language he doesn't know. It's like everything is coming out so awkward and clunky and just weird. I don't know what
It's also
happened.
alien to him, like the kind of acting he's been having to do lately, and that his character has been reduced to kind of a comedic, kind of just a joke. Like, Mark Ruffalo's not a comedy guy. I don't mean to say that he can't be funny, but like, he's not a comedy guy.
Well, he's not even given anything funny to do in that pilot. He's supposed to be
Well, and again,
kind
I
of the
haven't seen
serious
it, but
part of that pilot. The words that are coming out of him just are insane. But yeah, I don't know. I just watched him in Zodiac, and he's amazing. And then
well, I was gonna say you probably don't want to watch those back to back.
The MCU has ruined him. Good grief.
It really feels like it. I want to know if he's made anything in the last 4 or 5 years outside of MCU, because whatever it is, I kind of want to see it and just see like if his acting chops are still there, and if it's just he kind of turns off when he's on set with the MCU movies. He looks depressed about it to me.
Yeah, he didn't. He. This wasn't even like him having fun goofing around like in Ragnarok. This was just him like, I don't know what I'm reading. I don't want to be here.
I think with Ragnarok, it was more just he likes like, I think he gets along with Hemsworth. I think he was there with people that he likes. But of course, there's that famous quote that we've talked about a million times where he's like, "Hey, are we ruining all of this right now the way we're doing this?" But like, yeah, he probably had a good time just because he was able to hang out with his buddies and stuff.
Yeah, but this is probably all new people, and he just seemed like he was tired of it. I don't know. Let me know if I should finish watching that. I don't know if I'll keep going, guys. But I watched that this morning. It's short. That's a mercy. I think it's like a 30-minute show.
Well, it should be. It seems like a sitcom on the face of it.
Maybe I should give it one more episode because apparently
that's what Austin said. He
first
watched the first
episode
episode and he was like, "This is weird," and he
edited.
watched one more, but he was out after the second one. So
Oh, okay. Well, he told me that the first episode was supposed to be the 7th episode, and they completely edited and chopped it up to put the origin at the beginning instead of saving it
that's
for the end.
weird.
And you can tell something weird's going on. It's so weird and choppy and confusing.
Let me read this comment real quick, Jared. Habert, if Comcast wants to buy WB Discovery, one of the news networks would need to be sold, NBC or CNN. My bet is on the latter. if I was a betting man, but I still want the consolidation race to stop. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree as well. For obvious reasons. Just too much power under one roof. Under, a couple of roofs.
Yep, it's going to be Amazon, Disney, and Apple just running the world. I mean, we've made a million sci-fi movies about this, where just like one corporation is running the whole world.
Yeah,
but
it's really hard not to talk about this stuff without seeming cynical and without getting into kind of a political place. But my wife and I had this conversation the other day, and the way she came down on it was she said, it feels sometimes like either nobody read all the dystopian science fiction books that predicted some of this, or the wrong people did, and they're making them happen.
Yeah, it's like serial killers who watch serial killer movies and learn all their techniques.
They're textbooks, ultimately. Okay, let's get back to super chats if we have any, DJ.
All right, we got a super chat from T-Edge1, $2. What is the rules of Faceketball? Great show, guys.
It's been a long time since I thought about Faceketball. So here's what's weird about that for folks that have no idea what he's talking about, which is probably 98% of you. So Tom's
true fans know.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tom's a diehard Geekvolutionary going all the way back. Thanks, Tom. And DJ's been here a long time. He knows what this is probably. Do you know about Faceketball?
Oh yeah, that's a great video with Vince.
So Vince and I, in our first year and a half, would occasionally do silly sketches, and we did one called Moments in Faceketball, where we reinvented basketball with a mechanic where you could get points by hitting people in the face with the basketball. And then, a few years later, the same joke with the same name showed up on The Tonight Show, I think.
They stole it from Geekvolution.
Yeah, there's no way they stole it from us, by the way. And like, it's not the least obvious idea, you know what I mean, to come to. But I do have to say, my heart sank a little bit when I found out that Jimmy, what's his face? Not Jimmy Kimmel.
Fallon?
Jimmy Fallon came up with that also independently. And that was only like 3 or 4 years after that. I think 2012, 2013 or something. Faceketball shows up there. But yeah, I'm rusty. It's been a long time. You'll have to go back and watch that video.
713 views on that video.
That's what I'm saying. It's not like a lot of people watched it. You got a certain number of points if you hit somebody in the face with the basketball, and I think you still got points for scoring regular baskets, and then you could and then there was, each team had like a runner that the whole game they just run around the court, and you could also hit that guy in the face.
Oh, so it's kind of like Quidditch.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, look how young you are. I'm watching it right now. This is crazy.
Yep.
This is in the times of the famous Twilight video, where you guys are walking around at the Twilight premiere.
We never did that again. We got in trouble for that.
That's the first time you got in trouble for filming.
We got thrown off the property. They were like, "Oh, you can't go around filming teenagers." And I was like, "That didn't even occur to me there was an age thing. Like, we were just interviewing people." And
now
I was like,
because you can
do news outlets get this though? Can you not just go interview like a 16-year-old? Like, we were just interviewing people. I don't know. I just didn't know what the rules were.
That's amazing.
We were also pretty young, so yeah.
Yeah, you were young enough that I don't think it's creepy. Like, now, if you did it, like, as a 37-year-old man filming 16-year-olds, maybe that's weirder, I think.
Yeah, I don't do anything anymore. If people expect anything you do is creepy now.
Let me see. We got another super chat from Adrian Reyna Martinez.
Give me just a second before you move on, would you?
Oh, you're gonna show it?
We're gonna watch a little bit of Moments in Faceketball here.
I'm about 1:14 and it's just you explaining the rules so far.
Yeah, I want to show some of the highlights. I want to do some of the highlight reel from Moments in Faceketball.
Oh, you actually wait? Is this now? Did you film these clips or did you?
No, we didn't. We stole them off YouTube.
Okay.
That's how we did that. Anyway.
Yes. So if you guys didn't know, Geekvolution was a highlight reel show when they
No, it
before Super Rewind and all this stuff.
It wasn't. This was the only time we ever did this. I also spelled Faceketball with 2 T's for no reason.
Very educational. Yep. So now here we have a perfect example of how to correctly hit someone in the face in Faceketball.
Yep, this kid, he has a perfect form. You see, first he bends his knees, then he shoots.
Oh, does he do the accent the whole time?
Yes, the whole time.
Yeah, just excellent form. Now, this is the reason they've left baskets in Faceketball, right?
Yeah, so he can go for the basket, but no, he's actually going for the face. You see, he falls in the bush.
Excellent fake out there.
See, this was the perfect. It's kind of like a pool game, you know. He can ricochet it off of the goalpost and hit him right in the face.
So the guy standing there is like, "What are we? Oh, what are you aiming at? Oh, my face." Now you get extra points for doing something like that, right?
You rarely see this playing street ball, and that's usually about 30 points.
Now, what is this? This is like
we made all this up as we went along. We had no discussion about how the rules worked
whatsoever. And they use sometimes trampolines. So thank God he's wearing a helmet, because you see when he hits him in the face, the helmet, it just comes right off.
I've even heard that some leagues have like lions and elephants in the sport. Occasionally there's like a pit of fire, sometimes giant rings of fire.
They usually have aloe vera and extinguishers waiting on the side, and there's always a trained animal trainer there. It's pretty safe. It's not.
So yeah, I haven't seen this in a long time.
I mean, you should really have the hospital.
It's like home movies, man. It feels you.
And we used home movies. Anyway, what else are folks talking about?
All right, I quite enjoyed that. Adrian Reyna Martinez, $4.99. I actually thoroughly enjoyed that premiere episode, but the finale today made me want to end it all.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard the finale had a record-breaking time limit. I don't know what record it broke, but I'm assuming it was just long for a Disney Plus show. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it to the finale. I barely made it through the premiere.
Why wouldn't they just break it up into 2 episodes then? If your first episode was half an hour, wouldn't it be weird if your last episode broke records?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, everything about the Disney Plus shows is kind of weird.
Yeah.
They're breaking new ground.
No, it's a lot of counterintuitive.
But yeah, sorry that finale episode didn't do it for you, man. That's the bummer.
It's so depressing tonight. We should just go back to Faceketball.
Well, none of the finale episodes have been that great. I mean, that's our biggest issue with even the 2 that we liked was the finales.
Yeah, I think the strongest of the shows I've finished, because I'm still behind. There's a couple I haven't finished. But I think the strongest of the ones I finished is probably a tie between WandaVision and Hawkeye, which isn't saying much because they didn't entirely stick the landing, either of them. But I think those 2 shows got the closest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are my 2 favorite that I've seen. I think those are the only 2 that I've seen all the way through. And but those were kind of the worst episodes of those respective shows.
Well, if we ever take the plunge and get crazy enough to do all those episodes on Marvel Mania, like some people want us to do still.
I kind of want to do that just because of how insane it would be, but part of me thinks...
How committed could you be? Like, my worry is...
I don't think I can ever watch Thor Love and Thunder. I'll need to get that... Remember that cardboard cutout of me that we were talking about? That'll just be there, the whole Love and Thunder commentary. I don't know if I can ever watch that.
But at least... you wouldn't have to watch it ahead of time if it's a Mania. Like, it'd be easier stomach if you have to talk over it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Especially with you, buddy. I could talk to you until the cows come home.
Oh, that's so nice. The nicest thing anybody's ever said to me is, I don't want to watch Love and Thunder, but I'd watch it with you.
You make insufferable films sufferable.
That on the box of a not great movie. Roger Ebert called it sufferable.
Oh, that'd be great.
Boy,
speaking of,
I want to use that. Like that's your quote. You should find a movie that you find just sufferable, and we'll make a box. It'll be like DJ Martinez from Geekvolution called it sufferable, which sounds worse.
It does. It's like women's suffrage where you can trick people into not knowing what it means because it sounds bad.
Yeah, like obviously the idea is that the opposite of insufferable would be you can kind of deal with it, but it sounds like torture.
Yeah, well, that's why you can really get people with language. That's how they get you.
Is She-Hulk having the who is it for problem at all?
Oh, like I said, I've only seen the first episode, which is apparently hacked to bits to shove the hackneyed origin in there to get it out of the way. Because apparently it was supposed to be in episode 7, and if I had to wait 7 episodes for that origin, thank you so much for getting out of the way at the beginning, because it's the worst superhero origin ever. It's like, I don't know how much you want me to talk about it, because you haven't seen it yet.
No, watch it. But also, that's been their formula, right? They keep making you wait for any backstory for your protagonist until the second to last episode. Not all of them, but like Moon Knight does it, WandaVision does it.
Yeah, and that's what they were talking about in the Discord. That's probably why they moved it, because they've done it like so many times.
Yeah.
Like, we should probably get, and plus it's not worth waiting for, in my opinion. It's just like it's the goofiest way to get her powers, and then she just masters her powers in 30 seconds. It's really, there's no point in even showing the origin. It should have just been told. Like if it's gonna take 30 seconds, just don't even waste my time showing it to me. Just give me a line of how she got her powers. Like
Why does it always have to be dramatized?
I don't know. I don't know why we have to do origins still.
Unless the show was just an origin show. And of course, it'd be nice if we could get away from always having to do that, but it sounds like this isn't really that, and she already has her powers by the time the actual events of the narrative happen. So why must it be dramatized?
Yeah, I was actually going to give him credit, because it starts out and she's already a Hulk, and then all of a sudden we have to get this weird, super rushed, silly flashback for no reason. It was very strange. Maybe I'll give it one more episode, but I don't know.
But then the question is, are they going for some kind of awkward comedy thing that's just not my bag and I don't find funny, but some people do? And that's why I'm asking, like, is this does this have that who is this for question? Because the people I'm seeing that seem to like it online think it's funny, and the people who don't really don't think it's funny.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
I guess that's just.
But I don't want to talk too much about a thing I've not seen.
Yeah, and I don't know. Apparently the first episode's not like the other one, so I don't have anything to say either. But speaking of comedy, Daniverse just in the chat asked us the question: do you think comedies should have actual stories, or should they be loosely connected films that just have jokes?
I'm sorry, can you read that one more time?
Sure. This is from Daniverse. Do you think comedies should have actual stories, or should they be loosely connected films that just have jokes?
Oh, case by case. I mean, I'm never going to say, like, there should be a formula for comedy any more than I think there should be a formula for horror or mystery or any other, or science fiction or any other kind of genre. There are subgenres of all those things that tend to have loose formulas that you can easily plug in for, but some of my favorite comedies are farces that don't have much of an internal logic or are real loose about that. And some of my favorite comedies are really tightly woven narratives within a universe that you really believe, or even a world that's very much like the one we live in. So, like, no, entirely case by case. And also, as is said all the time about this, comedy is subjective. And so you want a good variety of different kinds of comedies. But I'm never going to start a sentence with comedy should be.
I will. It has to be a story for me. I'm not a farce guy or a parody guy. And I think I told the story. I recently watched Young Frankenstein for the first time, and I absolutely hated the experience, because it's literally just skits that they thought were funny that are just strung together with the thinnest little, like, but I know that some people like that. So I obviously, he's asking us personally, so that's my personal. Okay. But obviously it works for some people.
No, if it's sorry, I guess I was thinking of the question differently than the way he was pitching it. But if it's a personal taste thing, of course I would much rather, generally speaking, a good, well-told story with well-drawn characters. But I also like the Naked Gun movies and stuff like that. So I really like Airplane. Like I like Goofy Out There. Like if it's all about, and I know you guys have heard me say this a million times. We've done too many shows. I've been doing this for too long, but it's all about what the piece is trying to accomplish, if it manages to accomplish that, and if that was worth my time in the first place. Like if I actually like that idea, and if I thought it was worthwhile in the first place. And so sometimes I'll see a piece that perfectly manages the thing that it's after, and it's just not for me, or I don't understand why you'd want to make that. And then you get into, is it a taste thing, or is it callous? Is it is it pointless? Is it too sensational? Whatever it is. And then, but much of the time it's just, as I said, case by case. So like, I do like farces sometimes. When a farce doesn't work is when it's emotionally manipulative and is trying to make you, especially when it happens like at the 11th hour, where it starts to tug on your heartstrings and goes, oh, you were supposed to actually look at these as real people the whole time. That's when it doesn't work.
Yeah, and Young Frankenstein doesn't do that. Everyone's screaming at me for what I said. Yeah, I know, guys. I'm not like clueless. I know everyone loves that movie. I saw it in the theater recently with everyone who was enjoying it, and I felt like an alien. I was like, what's happening? Am I watching the same movie as everybody else?
Well, it's possible
just a taste
if
thing.
You saw it on a second viewing, knowing what you're getting yourself into now, you would at least appreciate it as a piece of art, even if it's not your thing. But I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't. I've never been the biggest fan of that movie either. I like it. I think it works. I get why it's beloved, but it's not my favorite Mel Brooks thing by any stretch.
Yeah. Speaking of comedies that I watched recently, have you ever seen The Birdcage?
I haven't. Robin Williams.
One of the best comedies I've ever seen in my life. It's so good. It's Robin Williams and
it was universally beloved
Nathan Lane
by critics when that came out. Yeah.
Yeah, Robin Williams and Nathan Lane are fantastic in that movie. It's a actual subtle performance. It's a reserved performance from Robin Williams. And Nathan Lane gets to be the star, which is unique. But Robin Williams is still amazing in it. Everybody go watch The Birdcage. One of the best movies I've ever seen. Watched that recently with some friends. I hadn't even heard of it.
I want to say that's about drag queens.
Robin Williams owns a drag club. He's the owner of it, and they live above it. But yeah, it's hilarious, and it actually is just a really, really good movie too.
And obviously riskier and racier back then.
Yeah, actually, I was very surprised that it was made in the 90s because it doesn't make any to do about it. It just plays it completely straight, which was even refreshing for today. I was like, this is made in the 90s? What the world? Jar Jar Ed, $5. Actually, you know what? I will blame this Zaslov situation on Superman Returns. So up yours, Bryan Singer.
Just to get a crack at him out. Yeah, I mean, that's early enough. I doubt it has very much to do with specifically that movie. I don't even think Superman Returns lost money, did it? I think it just didn't do well enough to warrant a sequel.
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe maybe that was another advertising campaign that went too far and they lost money ultimately on the back end. I'm not sure. Because that's another movie that you knew that was coming out.
Yeah.
That was everywhere.
Well, I mean, they had the right to market it because it was a big deal. Or it should have been a big deal. That's right. Blue Dragon 5. Gene Hackman is also in The Birdcage. He's the
I had forgot about that, or I never knew it. Because, like, I know things about that movie, but I've never sat down and watched it. I should.
Yeah.
He's really
funny in it.
3 or 4 Robin Williams movies like that I've always been curious about that I've never actually bothered with. But I've seen some of the more dramatic and reined-in performances that people talk about. Like, 1 Hour Photo is really good. Watch that sometime. Well, maybe not you, because you don't like horror things, but...
Oh, interesting. I didn't know he did a horror movie. Yeah, I haven't seen enough Robin Williams either. I need to check out more of his
stuff. It's psychological thriller before it's horror, but it's got a real messed up third act, and there's a scene that I can never unsee now that I've seen it. And yeah, but it's an excellent
go watch
movie.
It. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I haven't even seen like Dead Poet Society.
I have once. It's actually, now that I'm saying that. Yeah, some things would be like cultural osmosis, and you're like, I think I recall seeing this movie. And then it's like, oh, do I just recall seeing clips? I don't know if I've ever seen that movie now that I'm saying that. I have seen that movie that he did with Ben Affleck back in the late 90s? Or is that movie?
You talking about Good Will Hunting with
Good Will Hunting? I've seen. Yeah, that's what it is. So I've seen that, but I haven't seen Dead Poets Society. Or I have, and I it's been so long I can't remember if it's just that or clips.
Have you seen the one film he did called Aladdin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have.
Didn't know. It flew under the radar for a lot of people, so.
Well, you couldn't tell it was him because he was blue.
He was in blueface.
Even.
Much like the lovely Paul Giamatti in the classic Big Fat Liar. Another Blueface movie. Shout out to Big Fat Liar. Another super chat from Jar Jar Ed. He is racking them up. He really wants to choose.
There's a lot of blueface acting in Star Trek too. There are 3 whole species of blueface acting: the Andorians, the Benzites, and the Bolians. All actors in bluefaces.
Well, it's diversity. That's what Star Trek's all about.
That's right.
We got another one from Jar Jar Ed. He really wants to pick some episodes for the 24-hour stream.
It sounds like it, yeah.
The production budget of Superman Returns was $270 million. Whoa, all the way back then? When it didn't make $500 million, they became afraid of Superman, which led to Man of Steel.
Yeah. So it just barely made its money back. Or actually didn't quite, probably, because you always have to double or triple it to get to, and in that case probably triple it, right, to get to the merchandising and the publicizing dollars.
270 in 2006. That's crazy.
Yeah, I forgot it was that high.
Was he lifting a real plane? What the heck?
Yeah, like, I mean, that movie looks good for the most part, but you're not seeing all that on the screen. He's not even fighting a bad guy except for a mountain.
But he really lifted that mountain.
He fights a mountain. Okay, guys, we're at an hour already. I'm going to have to end off tonight's show by at least 9 o'clock my time. So I'll only be able to be on for another 35 minutes. It looks like we only have a couple more Super Chats. So feel free to throw in some more Super Chats if you are so inclined. We've still got time for some of them. For some, but I am going to call this basically last call for Super Chats. So go ahead and get them in if you want to get them in. And if we have too many by 10 till, we'll just roll some over to next week. I'm definitely going to have to end off by 9 tonight, but... go ahead, DJ. Let's knock out what we can, and we'll do these, and if we don't get any more, we'll go to pre-written questions for a bit.
All right. Real quick, Daniverse says, Superman Returns cost so much because they had put the prior failed Superman films into the budget.
You know what? I knew that, and I forgot all about that. Yep.
That makes more sense, yeah. Jeez.
Which is weird, but I guess that's how they're trying to recoup that. But, I mean, they had already spent 90 or 100 at least, if memory serves, on Superman Lives when it got scrapped. I mean, I don't know if you know just how far into the pre-production they were on that, but like they already had suits built, like they were.
Yeah, I've seen
like
the full roll-up suit he was wearing.
Well, yeah, but the suit that you've seen in the famous pictures isn't even a final suit. Like that's an initial prototype, and that was like. I want to say I've seen that documentary recently. I want to say that was at least a year before the project was scrapped, DJ. Like, they got a lot of work done after those photos.
Jeez, I wish we had more photos from later.
There's some stuff in that documentary that we didn't have until that. Because that guy really did his research and found a lot of people that had things in desk drawers nobody knew about.
Yeah, that's John Schnepp's documentary, right?
Yes. Shep, I think was his name, yeah.
Bella Ack, $4.99. Logan, when was the last time you got too mad at someone and had to apologize?
Probably 3 or 4 days ago. I don't know. I'm kidding.
It was me, guys.
That's
off camera.
That's a shockingly personal question.
That's a very strange question. But it's a super chat, so I had to read it.
I mean, full disclosure with me, I have a little bit of a temper. I can leap before I look, as they say. So yeah, like I can occasionally get upset about a thing and say things that I wish I hadn't said until they come out, and then have to kind of try to smooth things over later and apologize for things, but it happens every now and again. I can't remember the last time I was just like full on like really super freaking like angry at a person. And, like, I don't know. I haven't screamed at anyone lately. Like, I don't know.
Everybody in the chat's like, Brandon. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guessing it was Brandon.
Yeah, but not real recently. George Red says, leave Captain Logan alone. Yeah, I feel like I'm on trial for a theoretical outburst. Like,
tell us about the last time you were angry, and tell us what you do for a living. Do you have a job? Are you worthy to be in this jury? Do you have an actual job?
Do you have an actual job? Yeah, I can't decide if they drop me from that jury because the job that I do wasn't close enough to the kinds of stuff that they were that they were dealing with in that trial with like NDAs and stuff, or if it was because they just couldn't take me seriously based on what I said I do.
He's not an adult. Get him out of here. We only have adults in this jury.
Yeah, and of course
he's a basement dweller.
And of course, I was wearing a button-up shirt with my cuffs buttoned. They didn't even see the tattoos. Like,
oh, you should have unleashed them once they asked about what you do. You should have said nothing.
Funny you should ask.
Oh man, people are having a go at who you got mad at. Blue Dragon 5 says Jason said he loved Picard one time.
Jason is never. If he did, it wasn't with a straight face. That's for sure.
Yeah, he was joking, but Cap lost it. He said. Senior Stick says Logan Berserker Rage.
So speaking of Picard.
Oh no, what have you done? What have you done, Blue Dragon 5?
The season 3 teaser trailer has dropped, and none of this will mean anything to DJ. But I just want to whine about this for a second. It's very clearly going to be more of the same, despite the fact that they finally made a Star Trek show that was okay enough that I can live with Star Trek being in the title of the show. No, I enjoyed Strange New Worlds for the most part. This is from Screen Rant. Everything revealed about Picard's season 3's villain. I'm not going to talk about that. There's this villain. There's a lot of discussion about what she might be, how she might be related to Tasha Yar or something. But the real news is, and of course, if you've been keeping up with this at all, we've known for a long time now that the entire original TNG cast is coming back from this because it's their last season. So of course they've got to do that kind of nostalgia-driven stuff, and they're doing really weird counterintuitive stuff. Like Worf is a pacifist now for some reason. Okay,
you weren't expecting that.
So the trailer also revealed 2 returning TNG villains. Lore, played by Brent Spiner, and Professor James Moriarty, played by Daniel Davis, who, I gotta be honest with you, and I don't mean to be callous, I didn't even know that actor was still alive. And he looked, I mean, and that's a great actor, and don't get me wrong, I'm glad he's still with us, and were this a better show, even though I don't like the nostalgia bait, and we really should leave that character alone if you know your TNG, because the way he's written off is wonderful and romantic and touching and heartwarming, and just leave him alone. Why does he have to be a bad guy again? But man, he looks 900 years old in that trailer. And of course, Lore, an unaging android played by a 70-something Brent Spiner, who did Data again in the first season, and that's a little awkward too. Can we please stop bringing back characters? Like, there's so many characters they could bring back that would age naturally in that universe and would just be whatever age they are now. Why do we keep almost exclusively bringing back characters from TNG that aren't supposed to age and are played by actors that are in their 70s and 80s? We're doing it with 2 we did it with Q last year. Now we're going to do it with 2 villains at the same time? Moriarty, seriously? How creatively bankrupt could you possibly be to bring back Moriarty of all villains?
I mean,
what are you doing?
Are they going to bring back the therapist that talked to the Zodiac killer? Because that would be interesting. He's probably dead.
So, DJ, you don't know anything about TNG, but Moriarty got 2 appearances in that show, one in season 2 and one in, I think, season 6. And he is a hologram of the famous Holmes villain. And in his first appearance, the idea was Geordi and Data are playing like a game of Sherlock Holmes on the holodeck, and Data, being basically a computer, knows too much and is able to solve every crime really easily, and it's no fun because he's not really like Sherlock Holmes. He's not fallible, and so Geordi tells the computer, create a villain that can best Data. And so the computer interprets that as a self-aware hologram. So it takes the famous Moriarty character, and he knows he's a hologram. And that's and he becomes self-aware. So then you have the is he a real person question, and then his whole mission, and he becomes obsessed with, is figuring out a way to get off the holodeck now that he knows what he is. And when he comes back in a wonderful follow-up, that's a better episode actually, in the 6th season. Spoilers for that, but the Ship in a Bottle, the end of that is Moriarty and his wife, the Countess, are led to believe that they have actually gotten off the holodeck, which is impossible because they're just basically beams of light. And they do this holodeck within a holodeck thing, where Picard makes them think that they've gotten on a shuttle and left the ship, but they're actually just in a database, basically, and they get to go off and have adventures and think they're in the real world, but they actually really aren't. Why on earth would you mess with that? It was such a wonderful way to best that character and still give him what he wants. Like, stop it. Just even the concept of doing that is almost as bad or worse as what they did with Q last year.
No happy endings here, Captain Logan. Only misery.
I guess, and of course, the first headline I saw about Moriarty was in an interview with that actor about how he's playing a different version of that character, which is code for these people don't actually like Star Trek, and they just keep making everything as like dark and dystopian and depressing as humanly possible. And different means stupid and mean-spirited. That's what it means.
That could be the catchphrase. That could be the slogan.
Going all the way back to first season, when Patrick Stewart said, "We're not doing what we did before, it's different." That's code for dark and stupid. Because that's what it is.
Star Trek dark and stupid.
Okay, my rant about TNG and Picard is over now. Let's continue.
You guys weren't kidding about a Logan Berserker rage.
Yeah. So the last time I did that is 43 seconds ago, and it was over the producers of Picard. Oh, actually, no, it wasn't. I'm not apologizing for that.
That's true. Yeah, you didn't have to apologize for that.
I won't. I'm not doing it.
He refuses. Jar Jar Ed back with another $5 super chat.
Oh, thanks, man.
On YouTube, there is a music video by Robert Picardo called "Why Was I Not Born Brent Spiner?" Recommended viewing. It is so funny.
That's great. I will take a look at that. I love Picardo's music. He's always done really amusing parodies and stuff. I used to have one of his CDs, and back from a convention almost 20 years ago. And DJ Robert Picardo played the Doctor in Voyager, and really weird that they found an actor whose name is almost Picard to play a character in Star Trek. But Picardo is one of my favorite actors in that show, and one of my favorite sci-fi actors in general. He's got a stint in Stargate where he's really good too. Anyway, he none of those tracks have ever been put on YouTube or Spotify or anywhere, and I've lost that CD, and I don't know if I'm ever going to hear those tracks again. It kind of sucks. But he did a really funny Christmas song that was like "Have Yourself a Great Sopranos Christmas," and that was pretty good. And he had this whole thing about the history of UPN and how tumultuous that whole thing was. So yeah, I'll check that out. I didn't know about that. But I do have to say real quick, and I don't mean to disparage Brent Spiner when I say this, but I don't know why Robert Picardo would want to be Brent Spiner, because even though there are probably more like at least within the Star Trek community, like mega fans of Spiner. Picardo has technically had a more consistent, if not more illustrious career than Brent Spiner. Because Spiner had his heyday in the 90s, and then after they quit making Star Trek movies, he had kind of the same thing that a lot of TOS actors did, where he just had a tough time finding work. And I think Picardo kind of kept working. So I'm not really sure why he would want to be Spiner.
Oh, Connor Nielsen tells me that Picardo actually played the swamp witch creature from Legend, which I just watched this month.
He is a character actor, too.
So I have seen a little bit of him. I haven't seen any of him, actually. He was caked up in a bunch of witch makeup, but I've heard him.
And I've met him in person. He's a really nice guy.
Thanks for the tidbit, Connor. Good to see you. We have one more super chat from Mr. Happy.
Thanks, Mr. Happy. That's a name I don't recognize.
Mr. Happy, $1.99. Well, this is a question you won't recognize either, because this is the first time we've been asked this.
Oh.
How much do you all shed in the shower? Use Rogaine? Question mark.
So when I say within reason, this is probably the line, right?
I mean, I don't even exactly know what he means.
I don't either.
I don't shed anything.
Whatever he means, I'm not answering that. My apologies, but I don't feel the need to talk about shower routine.
I think Rogaine is a thing that makes your hair grow. I think he's just asking if we are losing our hair. I'm not losing my hair yet.
I'm not either.
My hair is stuck on my head just fine. I did lose my hair once when I got chemotherapy. That was a bummer. I don't recommend that. But it did grow back. Actually grew back a lot thicker. So thank you.
And when I got cancer, I was able to get rid of it before I ever had to go through chemo. So I didn't even have to do that whole thing. The men in my family don't seem to lose their hair. And people always say that well, it's from the like hair is about the women's side, so you wouldn't really know anyway. But I mean, consistently going all the way across the board. Like my grandfather had a full head of hair until the day he died in the 70s. My dad still has all his hair. He's pushing 60. Like I don't really suspect I'll lose my hair, but I also won't be depressed about it if I do, because I'm a man of extremes. So I have really long hair right now, and I love it. I also really liked being bald when I shaved my head back in high school, and if I started losing my hair, I'd just shave it. I wouldn't have any qualms with it whatsoever. I don't know that it would look great with glasses is the only thing. And when I used to shave it, I had contacts, and at some point my eyes started really rejecting contact lenses, DJ. So I just can't even wear them anymore. Like it hurts too much to have them in my eyes, even though I had them for like 3 or 4 straight years. And at some point I just couldn't. It was almost like I developed like I don't know, some kind of issue with them. I don't know.
Well, don't worry, man. There's a lot of good-looking bald men with glasses. Samuel L. Jackson. I'm looking him up right now. The guy from Hunger Games. What is his name? The bald guy. Dang it. I'm looking at a picture of him right now, but I'm never going to think of his name. But yeah, you can pull it off. You might, especially because you have the beard. You could look like a Walter White.
That's true. Yeah, now that
Stanley
I'm older,
Tucci, that's his name.
Now that I'm older, you'd probably look better with glasses and facial hair. But back then, I felt like the whole thing had to be like real clean shaven. Anyway,
well, thank you, Mr. Happy, for getting us on that rabbit trail.
I was glad that even though we didn't exactly answer the question, we were able to do something with it, because I hate to just dismiss a super chat out of hand. But
all right, so we'll go back to the beginning of the show when people were asking some questions in the chat.
Cool.
John Henry, which side did you back? Team Cartoon Network versus Team Nickelodeon? So I'm guessing back in the day, were you a Nickelodeon kid or a Cartoon Network kid, or were you just equal opportunity kid?
So with this, I was not equal opportunity. I was with lots of other things, like Sega and Nintendo. I did both. Disney and Warner Brothers, I did both. But Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, there was, and I've talked about this before, but yeah, I was full on 100% in Nickelodeon, or in Cartoon Network. Because I found Nickelodeon to be too crude, and they liked a lot of, pot humor and kind of snot humor and that kind of thing. I couldn't get into Rugrats. That whole thing just grossed me out. I had the same thing with like Ren and Stimpy and things like that. And some of that stuff I bet I would appreciate a little bit more as an adult, maybe. But back then, it didn't do anything for me. And Cartoon Network had its gross out stuff too. But even the shows that did that I watched had something else I could latch on to. most of the time. The only stuff I watched on Nickelodeon were game shows.
And I don't have an answer because I was in either. I didn't have cable as a kid, so I didn't get to watch either. So
wow,
sad for me. Everyone was like giving all of their favorite Cartoon Network shows at the beginning of the show, and I didn't know any of them. I felt left out.
Oh, sorry, man.
No, it's fine. I think I'm okay. What else do we got?
I was gonna say, like, I'd love to show you some stuff, but certain things, it's hard to know, right? Especially with cartoons, what you grew up with would translate to an adult that's just now watching it, like the Power Rangers kind of situation, where, like, you know, if I showed you Dexter's Laboratory now, like, would you appreciate it? When, you know, I came to that show at like 11 or 12.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's clever, but I don't know.
Yeah, because you had this with Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, everyone's telling you to watch it. You tried it.
And Clone Wars and Teen Titans and a lot of those shows that came post my time. But I guess with particularly with you, I'm suggesting something that would be before your time. It's almost the reverse kind of issue.
Mm-hmm. I did see all of Teen Titans. Was that a Cartoon Network show?
I believe so.
I saw all of that because my brother bought all the DVDs, so I've seen all 5 seasons of that.
I don't know if it initially aired on Cartoon Network, but I'm pretty sure they ran reruns at least. Somebody else.
I was able to see some things that were played on Saturday mornings, because back before they like completely canceled like local networks, you could watch a couple cartoon lineups that they would play on Saturday mornings. So I watched The Batman and Teen Titans and Jackie Chan Adventures and Shaolin Showdown. Does anybody remember Shaolin Showdown?
I never watched it, but I saw the commercials. Yeah, that was all Kids WB stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know why we got that channel, but we did, and I watched those shows for
Cartoon Network would sometimes do reruns of some of their stuff, but I don't think it went the other way. Like, a lot of exclusive Cartoon Network stuff was only ever shown on Cartoon Network. Mm-hmm. If memory serves, so you'd never see, like, you know, Cow and Chicken over on Kids WB or anything.
Mm-hmm. All right, this is a really, really tough one. Blue Dragon 5 Cap and DJ, top 3 to 5 moments of joy and delight watching Cartoon Network shows.
Oh, well, like, you haven't seen them, so
yeah, I get an NA for this one, so you get to answer the tough question.
Boy, I just, like, I'm a real nostalgic person. I don't tend to get quite that sentimental of just, like, moments of joy while watching a thing. Like, I can sometimes go to, like, you know, just favorite bits of a thing that stuck with me, but I don't know that particular question, if that's exactly what he's asking. Yeah, it kind of just turns into an exercise of, like, favorite episodes, right? Like, one of the big ones would be, of course, when you're talking about moments, and I'm gonna have a hard time not making it all Powerpuff Girls, but what about the giant ant is a big one. I think that was probably the moment that solidified my love for that show. As soon as Bubbles goes, "But what about the giant ant?" I was like, I'm in. Like, the show's ridiculous. It's wonderful. And it's a show where they fight a giant ant, and Bubbles is, it's called Bubble Vision, I think, and she's, her eyesight goes bad. And at the end, she accidentally gives herself laser eye surgery, which is great. Another one...
I need to get that. Gosh, contacts are so expensive.
Another one is because I'm having a hard time not just going to, like, these things were hilarious and stuck with me, but Omelette du Fromage from Dexter's Laboratory. There's this, that's probably my favorite episode. There's a Dexter episode, DJ, where he's trying to teach himself French while he sleeps, and the tape gets stuck, and the phrase he hears over and over again all night is Omelette du Fromage, which means something like I would like a cheese omelet, and that becomes the only thing he can say for the rest of the episode, and it's he just walks around everywhere, and it's just funny because of that voice, because the Dexter voice is so distinct, and he just goes "Omelette du fromage," and that I never forgot. I haven't seen that episode in probably 15 years. I'll never forget "Omelette du fromage," and then a third one. More of this is coming to me than I thought would. I didn't even give you 3 different shows. I'll also throw out and this is just one little obscure moment, but the episode of Johnny Bravo, which is a show you absolutely could not make today, with Adam West, where Adam West is just playing himself, and everything he does has sound effects words next to it. So there's a scene where he's running and he jumps and it just says jump, and it's great.
We answered a couple questions there, because Cinemographics' question was Captain DJ favorite episodes of Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah, that's a big one. I'm the Omelette du Fromage thing. I'm really rusty on that show. So there's episodes that I remember that I don't necessarily love. Like the dodgeball episode sticks with me, but I never loved that one. I think I just saw it too many times. The one where Dexter has to make a Major Glory action figure is a good one. And I also really like the first Mandark episode. Or is it the first one? The one where they're competing laboratories, where he finds out that, or on Dexter's side, the laboratory where Dexter thinks he has like the greatest, largest science lab on the planet, and then he goes to Mandark's and his goes up to the moon, and yeah, it's great. But those are some things.
We have one from John Henry. What shows would you want to come back, and who would you want Space Ghost to interview in a new if a new series was announced?
Oh, what a great question. Sorry, I'm thinking about the Space Ghost interviewing thing. I want to answer that first. Probably Neil Patrick Harris. That's the first person that comes to mind that would be amusing in a Space Ghost Coast to Coast thing. I don't think he was ever on that show. He could have been. I'm trying to think of more really recent actors that that couldn't have even been around back then. Well, maybe what's his name? The actor that played Harry Potter. That'd be good too.
Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah. Well, Weird Al was on that show. That's why I didn't go to Weird Al. But it'd be fun to have both of them there. That'd be good. But as far as shows that I would want to come back, I can't help but be excited about the Powerpuff Girls thing, because that's not a thing I need, except and I don't want it if it's not McCracken, but it's McCracken and it's supposed to be serialized, and I'm just too curious to see what a serialized Powerpuff Girls would look like, so I'm really stoked about that. And then beyond that, if everybody was still alive, I'd love to see a return of Cartoon Planet. But Crocker passed away a few years ago, and so I wouldn't want to see anybody else try to be Zorak. So I don't know. But it sucks that Andy Merrill can't get work. So I kind of want him to get to play Brack again in something, just because it's stupid that he's not getting work in the industry anymore. Oh, Sarah Finowitz is a great answer. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I don't know why in the moment I couldn't think of Daniel Radcliffe, but thanks for that. Okay, DJ, let's do one more and then we'll call it a night. If there is anything. Otherwise, we can just say bye and leave. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I hope you've had fun on the show.
I only had one more directed at me before this, and it was from Code Anime Fan, and he says, do you plan on watching and or reviewing any more of Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go?
Not really. I might at some point go through the original Teen Titans show and do a top 10, because I know a lot of people really want that. But I've got several other shows I would probably prioritize before that. So it's not on my short list, is all I'll say. And finding time to watch an entire series and then go back through my best episodes and watch them to have them fresh in my mind is a really tall order right now, which is why I haven't done one of those in a long time. But anyway, well, DJ, I think that's going to do it for us this evening. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you had a good time. DJ, would you tell us who, I think I know who it is, but would you tell us who the Super Chat winner is for this evening?
It was definitely Jar Jar Ed with 5, 10, 15, $20, $25. Wow, thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. Okay, so Jar Jar Ed, you get to pick 3 episodes. for the 24-hour stream. Make sure that they're DCAU episodes. Don't do that. The DCAU, I mean, you couldn't get episodes. They'd just be movies. DCAU episodes. Krypton was supposed to be, but watch that show. It's definitely not. And then send me an email with your selections if you would. My email is on the About page on the YouTube channel, and 2-parters or 3-parters count as separate episodes. So 1 hour worth of content, whatever it is. If you pick a 3-part episode and it's all one title, that's all you get. Read a book. So pick 3 different episodes if you would, or a 2-parter or a 3-parter. And thanks so much once again for all of your support, both Jar Jar Ed and everybody else. You guys are wonderful. We sure appreciate you. And I will be back again tomorrow night for another Friday night commentary with Austin. This week the poll was for horror and spooky movies, and we're going to be doing a commentary on The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, which I'm really looking forward to.
Wow.
I had never seen that movie. I'm in the middle of my watch of it right now. I had to quit this afternoon to take my kids somewhere, but I was really enjoying it. I'm about an hour in, and I'm excited to finish it, and we'll be doing a commentary on that tomorrow. And then Monday night, I'll be back with part 2 of my very lengthy walkthrough of my enormous superhero and comic book movie collection. So join me for that if you are so inclined, and we'll see if we can get a lot farther in, because in 2 hours I only made it through G. Not even all the way through G. And part of that's just because I started with the big box sets on the top, and some of those are huge and took a while to
I watched the whole thing.
Oh, did you really? I can't believe that, because
well, I listened.
I thought it
wasn't necessarily.
I was worried it was boring as sin, but I hope folks are enjoying it, and I'll try to go a little bit quicker next time.
Yeah, it is tough. I'm in the middle of editing mine right now, and I just got through the white section. Just the first section. It's gonna take forever to edit that video.
Well, going through, and I've never gone through every single one of them like this. So I mean, if you think about it, like, just how long would the video be if you spent 20 seconds on 400 movies and box sets? Or it's probably more than that. It's 300 movies and then however many TV box sets. Like, it's, you know, and obviously it's longer than that on some of them. So like, it's going to be long. There's no way around it.
Yeah, you know, and I like it. It's good. It's a good thing to listen to while I'm working. So I've been listening to it, and I will tune in for the next one. Can't wait.
Oh, well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And thanks to everybody else that's looked at that. I will try not to make it longer than 3 streams. I would love to promise it'll be done in the next one. There's no way. It'll be at least, it'll be 3 streams.
Yeah, there's not many people that I would, you know, I don't like watching people look at movies, but I do it for you, buddy. You make it sufferable.
I was gonna say, I think that's maybe the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me. Even a little bit nicer than, I don't want to watch Love and Thunder, but I'll do it with you. Thanks again for being here, folks, and we'll see you again next time. I was Captain Logan. You just make me feel so warm and fuzzy inside. Thanks a lot for watching. Job. We'll see you soon. I was Captain Logan. This was DJ Martinez.
Bye, everybody.